Welcome back to another video. My name is Jessica and I really appreciate you tuning in. And I'll be the first to say that sometimes the news can be depressing. It can be absolutely overwhelming to watch, especially since the pandemic. I mean, I don't think the news has ever worried me so much as it has in the last couple years. But there are some stories that we just cannot overlook or disengage with, and the murder of Rasheem Carter is one of those stories. Um, I'm really interested in becoming increasingly passionate about this story because the events surrounding his murder took place in Mississippi, which is where I live, along with the majority of my entire family, in laws included. I'm also a wife, a daughter, a niece, a cousin, and a friend to black men who could have easily been targeted in the manner in which Rasheem Carter was. And lastly, his death is very, very reminiscent. It's eerily similar to Emmett Till's. Not in the way that it was dealing with a woman, but the way in which he was targeted and hunted. And it's eerie and ironic also because we've had some developments to happen in that Emmett Till case. Most recently with the death of Carolyn Bryant, who was the woman who accused Emmett Till of whistling at her, which ultimately led to his murder. She later came back and said she lied about that. And then she said she didn't lie. So we really don't know the truth. More than likely she lied. But either way, this story reminds me so much of that. And it's 2023. Black people are still as unprotected and vulnerable to hate crimes as we were during the days of slavery and Jim Crow. This is a very serious problem, and in my opinion, it should be the topic of all conversations in black pop culture right now. With all the media outlets that focus on gossip and relationships that we have in our culture, they should be shouting this story out just as much. Rasheem Carter was 25, I believe. Yeah, 25. He was 25, so he was part of their audience. I can't make assumptions that he consumed that type of media, but that's their demographic. This young man was 25 years old, 10 years younger than me, like a little brother. Could have been a little brother. So we owe that to his family, but more importantly to him, because he did not deserve what happened to him. He did not deserve to leave this earth in that way, period. I'll be using various media stories in this video, from newspaper articles, digital online newspaper articles, to other YouTube videos, different photos, different websites. And I have a link to them in the description box if you are watching on YouTube. Once you click that link, you'll be redirected to my Patreon page where you can see each individual source. And that information is free. You don't need a membership to access it. I wanted to put that there just in case you wanted to do your own research on this case or share this information, and there was just a one central place where you could find it all. So yes, if you want more information or to be directed to some of the things that you'll see here, please click that link. I'm vaguely familiar with this case, so a lot of this I'm going to be learning for the first time myself. I consume a lot of media. I literally play news stories and commentary in the background while I'm working every day. But I didn't look into this story as much as I should have in the beginning. When I found out about it, it was just when he was missing. And then I later saw where they had found him dead, and I was like, oh, that was kind of what people would think anyway. And there was another black guy who was found dead after he had been missing. They found him. I think he may have had a car accident though, so it was like around that time. So I didn't really give it much thought. Like he, something. We pretty much kind of thought that would be the outcome. But I later saw that he had been found dismembered, and that's when it kind of piqued my interest. But I never went back to go look into it all. And now that I have started to, it's really, really blowing my mind, and I want to talk about it more. So I want to start with this story from the Mississippi Free Press. It was written by Leo Carney and published on April 24th, 2023. And I chose it because it goes back to the initial circumstances surrounding Rasheem's disappearance. Before it was determined that he was deceased, like I said, he had been reported missing by his family. And even since this story was published, there have been a couple more developments, I believe, in the case. So I felt like this would be a good starting point. So I'm going to read it for those of you who may be listening and not able to watch the screen. So the article reads as follows. Rasheem Carter worked for Clements Mechanicals at the local Georgia Pacific Company in downtown Taylorsville. He was a Fayette, Mississippi native and an accomplished 25-year-old welder and a highly skilled millwright. Since his car had broken down in September 2022, which was this past September, he would hitchhike 20 miles back and forth from Taylorsville to the Super 8 Hotel in Laurel where he lived. Now, I want to pause right there. How many of us know men who are welders? My husband's best friend is a welder, and these are some hard-working guys. They earn every single dollar, and many of them are just trying to survive and pay their bills. I really want to humanize Rasheem so that we can build a connection with him in a way that causes us to be inspired to speak out and take action, even if it means just sharing this video or sharing the page with all the links, educating another person about this, keeping this conversation and this discussion alive, keeping the momentum going. This is our brother. He could have easily been our family member, a friend, somebody we went to school with. We are still at war with racism, prejudice, and white supremacist forces, y'all. And what's worse is that it has just about caused us to fully turn on one another. And we have to turn things around and be serious about what the future looks like for our people. I don't mean to preach. I'm talking to myself too. I just really hope we start getting to the business of repairing our community for the sake of the children. And that requires us to be serious. That requires us to dig deep into these news stories, find out the information that we can so that we can be prepared and know what's going on around us. We have to protect ourselves. And you can't protect yourself if you don't know what the enemy is doing. So, okay, I'm off that rant. I'm sorry about that, but I really want to humanize him and add as much context and detail and perspective that I can to this story. And in full transparency, I said that I'm from Mississippi. I live in Mississippi. I live in Jackson. I've never been to Fayette, which is where he's from. And I may have traveled through there before, maybe not, but I'm not very familiar with that area personally. According to Wikipedia, it is located in Jefferson County, and at the time of the 2010 census, its population was just a little bit over 1,600 people, 1,614 to be exact. And to put that into perspective, I have over 2 times more followers on Instagram than there are people who live in that city where he's from. So he's from a really, really small place. And you'll see a lot of the time, people who are from those small cities here in Mississippi, they do travel to more populated areas to get jobs like these welding jobs or jobs at the Nissan plant or the Levi's plant, places like that we have scattered throughout the state. A lot of us know somebody who works there. I know I can count on both hands the people I know that work at Nissan or who have worked there. And these types of jobs are really popular because they're often the only ones that black men who can't get in office settings or who aren't working in these office settings or at retail stores or places like that. They're not working at a bank or they're not teaching. Like, these are just your everyday black men, these trade skill type jobs. They're very, very popular around here. But anyway, he was from Fayette, but he lived in Laurel and worked in Taylorsville. Now, I'm familiar with Laurel. I've been to Laurel. I know people from Laurel. It's also a small city outside of a more populated one, Hattiesburg, which is the home of Southern Miss, the University of Southern Mississippi. And I actually went to school there. I attended there for graduate school. I got my master's there, and I worked on my PhD there as well. I did not complete that, but I did attend courses for that. And as you can see on Google Maps, where he was staying in Laurel was about a 25-minute drive to where he was working in Taylorsville. Um, so yeah, you can see on this map along Highway 28. It looks like, yeah, Highway 28, and then there's another way you could go on 84, but I'm assuming he went on 28 because it looks more like a straight shot. It was quite a distance, and you can see below Hattiesburg is there, which is where USM is. So it's just right outside on the outskirts of a more densely populated city. Now, back to this article where it talks about where he worked at Clements Mechanicals. I tried to look up the company, but I can't find anything on them. I clicked the link from this article, but it took me to a login page. So I don't know what's up with it. That's kind of sketchy if you ask me. But maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. So he was commuting from Laurel to Taylorsville before his car broke down in September. The article says he was hitchhiking. Now, I don't know if that literally means hitchhiking or if he was taking Ubers or riding with different coworkers or people he was meeting at the hotel where he was living. I don't know. I don't know many guys who would hitchhike, especially black guys. But then again, I do live in Jackson where we know better than to do that. We just do. My husband has told me from his experience working these type of jobs with these guys from what we call, they're from the country, as if all of Mississippi is not the country, but it's the country to us because we're in the city, that they really do live different out there. So maybe he was literally hitchhiking. I'm sure the reporter would have specified how he was getting to work if he knew more details. So maybe he was. And that immediately tells me this. If he's walking and or hitchhiking for an extended period of time at these regular intervals or part of his daily routine, then he very likely was probably being watched. He would have stuck out like a sore thumb on that highway, and people would have noticed him during their daily routines, their own commutes, especially these people who lived in these small towns who are going to Laurel or Hattiesburg or any of those more populated areas. When I was in grad school, I had classmates who worked in Ellisville, and they were making their drive daily. So this is not an uncommon routine in that area, which makes this story even more important to be covering. Hattiesburg overflows, literally. It's overflowing with young black people who are driving home on the weekends. These are students from USM, and then there are the community colleges out there. They're driving home alone on the weekends, and it is not safe. I was one of those people, and I never thought anything about it. I was so naive, and it is literally by the grace of God that I never encountered any type of danger or threats during those wee hours in the morning when I was traveling back and forth from Jackson to Hattiesburg or to Memphis or to Louisiana. I'm meeting my boyfriend or I'm hanging out with my friends. This could have easily been me or my friends, people I know. So it really, really hits home. And I thank God for his protection during that time in my life. I didn't even realize or know the danger I was in. And all of the student organizations at USM should be talking about this and educating their students about this, especially the black organizations. You know, we have to really keep each other safe. I'll continue reading the story now. So it goes on. On October 1st, 2022, Rasheem caught a ride with his roommate, but they had an intense argument, he would later tell his mother. Rasheem got out of the vehicle during the argument and walked the 20-mile stretch to Taylorsville in southeastern Smith County. While on foot, some co-workers picked him up and drove him to the Family Dollar store in Taylorsville. There, he called his mother, Tiffany Carter, and told her that he needed a ride from there to her house in Fayette, more than 100 miles away in Jefferson County. While in the store, Rasheem told his mother that someone had called the Family Dollar clerk and asked him if he was inside. Reading this aloud is literally sending chills through my body. It's giving real 1964, Freedom Summer, Philadelphia, Mississippi vibes after the disappearance and then the murders of Cheney, Goodman, and Schwerner, the 3 student workers. This is very, very unsettling and disturbing energy. And I keep trying to tell people that racism is a demonic and evil spirit from the pits of hell, that this is a spiritual thing. But these folks want to keep telling y'all about African spirituality. They want to keep talking about how the black pastors are out of order, how black youth are demonic. Smart Christian channel. This is a Christian channel talking about black youth being demonic, right? There's a demon force that's going on with black youth, and there may be, but this smart Christian channel hasn't said anything about this. And so that's where we have a disconnect between young black folks and the Christian church, the Christian community, the black church. But y'all know how I feel about that if you've been around here long enough. So I'm not going to go there yet. We'll go there at some point, but I'm not going to go there here. I'm going to continue with this article and keep the focus on Rasheem so that we can get his story out and continue talking about it until justice is served for his family. So continuing with the article, Rasheem told me that he left the dollar store when he heard the clerk say, "He's in here." He heard the clerk inside say, "He's in here." Imagine how that felt. Imagine the fear, the confusion, like what is really going on. Rasheem told me that he left the dollar store when he heard the clerk say, "He's in here." Tiffany Carter recalled later in front of protesters on December 31st, 2022. He said that he was being followed by 3 trucks filled with racist white men trying to kill me. A month later, Rasheem's dismembered remains were discovered on a private property in Smith County. Now I want us to just sit with that for a minute. Process that. 2023. We're still dealing with this in 2023, while politicians like Joe Biden and all of his black Democrat flunkies that fall in line with whatever he says, whatever they say is important, that's the cause they take up. They'll holler and cry about this, and then it fades away. And this happens in mainstream media as well. These people come out and tell you to vote for them. They gaslight you. They sell you out. They discard you and tell you to vote for them. And they never address our issues. Black Americans to this day have yet to have protection in the form of an anti-hate bill. But they cry out every year and go vote. Like they literally do not care. The Asian community got a hate crime bill. Now there are probably many factors that go into this, such as being on the same page, being unified, being having solidarity in the community, which we don't have. But my point is enough evidence out there. There have been enough outcry, enough protests, enough people that have been killed for us to have an anti-hate bill. But you don't have that. Yet they're telling you right now to go vote for Joe Biden. And most of y'all are going to do it. And they don't care. They have never cared. They never will care. And don't come at me with the vote local stuff either, because there are countless examples of how there's no representation there either. You have representation in skin color, and that's it, not policy. You can look at Chicago right now. Then with what they have going on with the illegal immigrant situation. And then your first black mayor of Montgomery, Alabama pretty much said, "F y'all ninjas," on a leaked recording. And your favorite sellout black comedians told the people to go vote for him. They helped herd people to go vote for this man that does not care about your vote. And it's on recording. And what did the media do? They tried to defend him, a crisis campaign. I know about this stuff. I am a public relations professional. That is what my professional background is in. Damage control. They defended him, and I can go on and on about local representation, local politics too. I'm not saying that there aren't important things that should be voted on locally. My point is we have to start thinking policy. We have to start talking policy. What is in it for us? Why do I only see you during election season and not any other time? I mean, I live in Jackson. Y'all seen Jackson's water crisis. There was national news. And we recently had a situation with the trash where we did not have trash collection. So don't talk about local politics. And then also don't mention black crime. This black on black crime thing, we'll get into that at some point too. But that conversation has its place. I'm not going to sit here in front like it ain't black folks out here wilding at large in a lot of our cities. I mean, it's going on here where I live. But that conversation is not to be had here, because I don't care where a person come from. And this is not saying that Rasheem Carter was a bad person or he was involved in anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm bringing this up because there's a tendency to try to justify, but say you're not justifying the things that happen to black people by white folks and the government, and all these people try to justify by saying, oh, well, y'all kill each other, and how do Black Lives Matter when y'all... So that's not, like, we're not doing that, because nobody deserves to be targeted and murdered with their body parts scattered across the damn woods because they're black. No one. A person's right to live freely does not depend on what you think about them or what their community is doing. It don't even have nothing to do with them. You should care about that person just the same as if it were your family member. There are no conversations that even need to take place other than that, because I know a troll is probably going to come in these comments and make a stupid kind of remark, so I'm just shutting it down right now. Black folks, not brown folks, not BIPOC, like they like to say on Power in those classroom scenes. Not POC. Black folks are still in a political war in America. Do not let the Shade Room, DJ Academics, and all of the other gossip and entertainment sites fool you. I love a good YouTube show. Reality TV is my guilty pleasure. I love it, from Survivor and The Amazing Race to the Gordon Ramsay shows to my good YouTube people. I like it too. That's how I decompress. That's part of my self-care. But we have to get back to business after we've taken that time for ourselves. We have to. And there are many successful black professionals, entertainers, public figures, doctors, lawyers, and so on. But think about this. If we're still dealing with these types of crimes being done to our people after all the things our civil rights icons did for us and the things that they went through, the things they experienced and had to live through, then what does that look like for us? For us regular folks, what does the future look like for us? And that's the question that we have to ask ourselves. And we need to plan and prepare for what type of world we could possibly be living in, our children could possibly be living in, if this stuff is not addressed. It's one thing to fix our own community in the ways that we know that works without relying on the government. That's one thing. But what I'm talking about here is some type of federal protection for these hate crimes that are still occurring in 2023. I want to move to a video published on the Law and Crime Network's YouTube channel, where Rasheem's mother and attorney Ben Crump discuss his murder. And I want to talk about this. This video is from a month ago. It doesn't have the exact date. Oh, yes, it does. March 16th, 2023. So I want to, today is May 8th. I want to just play a little bit of this. I had my copyright disclaimer in the description box, also at the beginning of this video. This video is being used for information purposes only under the Fair Use Act. You can see that in the disclaimer. I'm sorry, in the description box. But yeah, let's watch a couple clips from this video, and then I'll be right back.
We go now to Mississippi, where a disturbing story is getting a lot of attention. A man missing since last fall was found dead with his head severed from his body. That's according to an independent autopsy released by his family. Despite apparently brutal injuries at the time Rasheem Carter's body was found, the sheriff's department said no foul play was suspected. The Carter family is now asking for a federal probe into the investigation. Carter's mother says Rasheem told her he was being targeted by white men in the community. Then, just days later, he went missing.
This was a nefarious act This was an evil act. Somebody murdered Rasheem Carter. And we cannot let them get away with this.
On October the 1st, my son texted me. This was after him and I had gotten off the phone. He said, me and the owner of this company not seeing eye to eye, Mama. His name, which I can't say at this time, but if anything happened to me, he's responsible for it. I'm too smart, Mama. He got these guys wanting to kill me. And that's what he sent to me.
Now, remember when I mentioned that I tried to look up the company and the page had a login wall that stopped you from going further? Rasheem's mother just said that the men targeting her were from the company. I told y'all it was something sketchy about that. I cannot even imagine receiving a text like that from one of my sons, and the fear that she must have felt. My heart really, really hurts for her. It is. I mean, you can't even imagine what that feels like. You know, it's one thing when, you know, it's something that kind of happens out of nowhere, right? But her son called her. He told her that something, you know, that he feared for his life, that something could possibly happen to him. And so I just can't even imagine what she was going through, waiting to hear from him and never hearing from him again. The Mississippi Free Press article stated that his mother instructed him to go to the police station after she heard what was going on. And according to her, he did. And he even asked if he could stay at the police station and wait for his ride. They told him no. They told him no. They said that it was too small at the station. There was no room and he needed to leave. And this is why black folks don't like dealing with the police. We don't care for the police. You can say there are good police, but where are the good police when the bad police do things? We never hear it. This is why we don't fool with them. This is why police and community relations are in the dumps. How does one take an oath to serve and protect, and then you turn away someone whose life, or who they felt like their life was in danger, even if, whether you believed them or not, whether you had any evidence at that moment or not, whether you learned anything about the story or not? It is your job to take those kind of things seriously. I mean, he obviously went into the station. So he, you know, what black man is just going to go into a police station and make a false accusation? Come on now. In Mississippi at that. So, I mean, this is just very upsetting. His mother went on to say that he asked the police in Taylorsville for a ride. He even asked them for a ride to get back to the hotel that he was living at. But the officers told him that Laura was outside of their jurisdiction. Now, had he came through Taylorsville driving crazy, they would have chased them out of it. Pearl police do that in Jackson all the time. They have caused accidents. People have died. These officers don't care about jurisdiction. So it's getting set up. When Rasheem's family made it to Taylorsville, they could not find him. His mother said that the Laurel Police Department filed the missing persons report, and there was an update posted to their Facebook page on October 4th stating that Rasheem's case was being treated as a missing persons case. And it's interesting that that post was made on the 4th when he was last heard from on the 1st. I would think that there should have been an immediate notification to the citizens of Laurel so they could be on the lookout, but maybe I'm missing some key details. So let me go back to the story. So he actually went to the police station on October 2nd around 5:30 that morning asking for help, to which of course he was denied. He called his mom around 10:15, and that's when he was at the Family Dollar store and he heard them say that he was there. So they were looking for him. And I wouldn't even be surprised if him going to the police station caused them to look for him even more, like caused them to get more obsessed or whatever. I don't know the right word, but I could imagine that it would kind of piss them off, like, oh, you got the nerve to come, you know, go tell on us and the police. So, I mean, it's giving cover up. It's giving coordinated effort. It's giving that these people were working together. And it's not far-fetched in a really small town like Taylorsville. So when he was at the Family Dollar, that's when he called his mom. It was 10:15 a.m. around that time. His mom said that his phone was on 1%, and she told him to drop his location, which he did, but that would have been the last conversation that she had with him. And my husband and I are really, we're big on this. We share our locations with one another. So if, for some reason I can't get in touch with him or he can't get in touch with me, we at least know where each other, where we are. And I think it's important. I think we all need to have one or two, hell, maybe even three people that we share our locations with, because you just never know what could happen, especially if you're black, especially if you are black. Share your location with somebody and keep a phone charger. Try to keep a phone charger. I'm really bad about that. My husband's bad about that. Like, keep your phone charged, because, maybe him having a little bit more of a charge could have made a difference. Maybe he could have made another phone call. Maybe he could have, let a clue. I mean, he pretty much was on his own if the police turned him away, but maybe he could have called his family member or something. And I just keep thinking about his roommate that he had the argument with. I wonder how they feel. Like, the argument ultimately led to his death. Not that the roommate was involved or anything like that, but I mean, in retrospect, was it something that y'all could have worked out? Like, it's just so sad. It's so sad. So his dismembered remains were found on November 2nd, which was an entire month later, in a wooded area near Highway 37 on private property. Law enforcement immediately said that there was no foul play, but it's giving cover up because he told his mother that if anything happened to him, it was his boss. At first, like I said, I knew that something had to be shady going on with that company. And now it's just more and more information coming out. And we're going to get to who this suspect is, or, who this person is.
I have been scratching my head about Taylorsville, Mississippi, and what happened there. Something is just not adding up. And whenever I hear no foul play, I am always all ears. I want to hear what happened. But when Rasheem Carter's death was, determined to initially have no foul play connected to it, it didn't sound right at all, because Rasheem had communicated with his mom several times that he was worried about a group of white guys that had been coming after him, hurling a bunch of racial slurs from a truck. And he was scared. Mom said, go to the authorities. And he did a couple times. And then he disappeared. So October 2, he's reported missing. A month later, November 2, his body is found. It's in the woods, and his remains are scattered, and he's been decapitated. And on November 3rd, the Smith County Sheriff said in a Facebook post that there was no reason to believe foul play was involved. I think that's weird. That's just one day after his body's found without his head. So Joseph Scott Morgan, who's a certified death investigator, I called him right away and I said, is it possible, I'm trying to, think about all the possibilities here. Is it possible that a month in the woods in Mississippi in October, is it possible that animal activity could have caused that sort of damage to a body? And he did say it is possible. Coyotes, wild dogs, wild hogs, and domesticated dogs could actually do that, could remove a head from a body. But on Tuesday, the Smith County Sheriff, Joel Houston, who defended his earlier determination, said at the time, no evidence pointed to foul play, which I think is weird because, again, it was only one day, but that he's still waiting on search warrants and that murder has not been ruled out at this time. The attorney for Tiffany Carter, that's his mom, Ben Crump, has said, this is a brutal hate crime and it needs to be investigated as such. It just seems so odd to me. Your son communicated with you that he was being targeted. Can you sort of expand on that a little bit more and tell me what he told you before he died?
Okay, before he died, he actually, before anything took place, he actually told me that it was 3 white trucks full of white men trying to harm him, trying to kill him. And I told him to go to the police station and everything. He did everything that I, asked him to do. They told him he couldn't stay there. He didn't stay there. He texted me after he left the police department, and he said that, Mom, if something, he told me, we're not seeing eye to eye. My boss and I are not seeing eye to eye. And then he put his boss name there, and he put the company name there. And he told me if something happened to him, his boss was responsible. And he said, Mama, I'm smart. He got these men trying to kill me. And he texted me that after he actually left the police department that particular night. And then later on, once they found his remains, they told me when I went back there that when they first found it, I never got the opportunity to see it the very first day when they found his remains. So the next day, which was November the 3rd, they allowed me to go back there, and they showed me where his remains were found. But when I went back there, immediately the Holy Spirit told me it was foul play.
These comments that I'm seeing online about this story, it's giving bot. Y'all are bots, or y'all are people who are coming trying to sway the public opinion, because ain't no way y'all really think that we believe that this man was killed by some damn animals in the woods when he clearly was being hunted. He was being followed. He was being watched. I mean, come on. Like, we know better than that. Black people are trained from childhood how to navigate this white dominated run world. Like, y'all gonna have to come with something different than that. And in this second video, I'm glad that she brought up the question of, could animals really mutilate a body in that way? Because again, these comments that I'm seeing under some of the videos that are discussing this across YouTube, they're really defending the possibility of an animal having done the damage to his body, and ain't no way. This is America. We know enough about America to know what this was. This was a hate crime. Where is Joe Biden? Where are you, Joe? We looking for you. Didn't you tell black people that if they didn't vote for you, they weren't black? What have you done for black folks? Where are you on this? You got all the energy for Ukraine. You got all the energy for everything else. You came here to tour Rolling Fork with the tornadoes. Why couldn't you meet with his family? Where are you? Where is Obama, who loves to preach and chastise and talk down to black folks? Where are you? First black president. Where are our politicians? This was a hate crime, an organized hate crime. Is that at that? He told his mom who it was, and that's information that we rarely have in cases like this. Now, if this were a missing white woman, or sometimes even, I ain't gonna say that. They show black women. There are lots of YouTube channels dedicated to amplifying the stories of black women who are missing. Rasheem's life matters just as much. If this were a missing white woman, or a white woman who was found in this way, deceased in this way, you would see the story every day, from CNN to Good Morning America and every mainstream media outlet in between. This is just appalling. It's disgusting. And I wish I could go into detail about some of the stories from the civil rights and Jim Crow eras that mirror this one, but I'll have to do that at another time, because please believe they are there. And dismemberment was like is like their thing. These white supremacists, these race obsessed demons, their thing is dismemberment and taking trophies. That's well known, that during the time of slavery and the lynchings, they routinely kept body parts. Now, I personally think that Mississippi media should be doing a better job with this story, in the same way that they're covering the welfare scandal that's going on, and how the water and the trash situations were covered locally. There should be journalists all over Taylorsville, all over Laurel, and in between looking for answers. And I find it interesting that we, meaning we like black creators, people like me, my colleagues, my peers, we have this, we love to talk about black history. We love to talk about, you know, these events and these things that happen that we need to draw more attention to. But the thing is, we gotta stop. Not that history isn't important, because it is. It provides us like the baseline to go from, you know, today. It provides us with that blueprint. We need to know our history. But we have this thing about romanticizing our history and making all these documentaries and putting all this money toward telling these historical stories, which are important. But what about what's going on today? Who's documenting what's going on today? What journalists are covering these stories, going in depth with these stories today? Is it out of fear? Like, what is it that keeps us from dealing with what's going on now? We have these stories going on now. It's not just history. You know, the journalists and reporters and even bloggers, and that's why I even decided, like, whoa, I got to make a video about this. I came up with a new way to record videos just so that I could talk about this, because I'm a mom. I have 2 black boys. I have a dad. I have a husband, uncles, cousins, friends. Sorry, my baby's crying in the background if y'all can hear it. She's in good hands. She just wants her mommy. She's spoiled. But, you know, we wouldn't even know Emmett Till's story had it not been for his mother and her decision to leave his casket open. And all the black publications at that time, like Jet Magazine, had Till as their cover stories. And I saw a comment saying that the mom and Ben Crump were milking this situation. How dare you say something like that? But I saw it. It's just really sad to you know, learn about this. And, you know, you go through a range of emotions from, you know, being shocked but not really shocked, just dumbfounded that this is still going on in 2023. You go to anger, then some people might feel a little resentment, confusion as to why this keeps happening. And, you know, my issues with my blackness, like, I've never been ashamed of my blackness, or never have I wished that I was something else. But I do have questions, and I don't know that I'll ever get those answers, but I do wonder, why us? Not that it should be anyone, but why us? Why my people? Why people who look like me? Why do we have to carry this every day? You can't escape it, no matter what, no matter where you go. It's a burden. It's a burden. And it's something that we shouldn't even be going through. But I want to go ahead and wrap this up with just a couple more points. Rasheem's mom, no, I'm sorry, his aunt Felicia Caho. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. But she had made a Facebook post basically, you know, pointing out that the police, law enforcement had been giving conflicting information. And in terms of their evidence, they claim to have only collected one photo, which is the last reported sighting of Rasheem. And it's an image from the property owner's deer camera at 4:32 p.m. on October 2nd, which is the same day that he went to the police and they turned him away. And you can see in this photo that he looks distressed. I mean, like, I can't even see his face. But I can just, the body language, the way he's looking, like, to the side, like someone's after him. Like, the photo does kind of give you a vibe, like it sets the scene. But I don't know how deer cameras work, but I'm not buying that they didn't have any more images on that camera. There's no way. No way they didn't have any more. At least an image showing his face or him like in the middle of him walking, like a freeze frame. I just refuse to believe that that's the only image. But I could be wrong. I don't know how deer cameras work. But in the photo, he clearly looks bruised and his jeans are muddy. Like, this is not the same guy that I'm sure walked in the police station. This is not the same guy that got out of the car with his roommate during that argument. This is not the same guy. He didn't deserve this. And there's definitely foul play involved. There's no question about that. Now, since all of this has happened, there have been peaceful protests and marches in honor of him. His daughter, he had a daughter named Callie. She recently turned 7. And now she's without her dad. How many black children have this story? You know, how many have this story, regardless of how their fathers passed away or no longer in their life? How many black girls have this story? How many black boys have this story? I'm tired of this story for our children. My son just turned 6, and I couldn't imagine having to, explain something like this to him. He wouldn't be able to take it, and then it just takes their innocence away. It's so sad. And we need answers. We need answers now. All the celebrities and politicians should be amplifying this story and demanding that this case be taken up to the next level. And in the video I just played, Rasheem's mother thanked Cardi B for shining light on this case. And I'm not a fan of Cardi, but I mean, come on. At least she said something. Where's Nick Cannon? He's always in the media for something. Mr. Pro-Black. Want to procreate. Where's Nick Cannon? Where's Diddy? Always talking about voting. Charlemagne, where are y'all? Lil Baby, Future, 50 Cent. These rappers that young black men listen to. All these black folks that love to be in the headlines. From celebrity to public figure to politician, attorney, all of y'all, where are y'all? We need y'all to be shouting this story out until something is done about it. Because this shouldn't be another case where it just gets old. Rasheem Carter did not deserve this. He was a 25-year-old father, graduate of Hines Community College. He was an entrepreneur. He had a restaurant, Callie's Express, that he named after his daughter. He was someone special. His life mattered. He deserved justice. Where's Black Lives Matter? We know that they're a bunch of crooks, but have they said anything? I don't know. I hadn't looked it up. Maybe they did. I don't know. But if they didn't, that's a problem. I want this to stop. I want this to stop. Where's the church? The black church. Mike Todd, black preacher, love to get clout. Where are you now? Where y'all at? Nobody's saying anything. And it's sad. It's really sad. So again, all the links to the videos that I have played in this video with my commentary, the news articles, everything that I used to help me put this video together, those links can be found at the link in the description box. Again, it's going to redirect you to Patreon, but the post is available to the public, so you will be able to see it. Share this story. Share it. I'll make sure that I share more updates on this case as they're made available to the public and as I see them. But I really want to just thank you for watching. Again, share this video. Please raise awareness of what happened to him. He didn't deserve it. I'm going to keep saying it. He did not deserve that. The fear that he must have felt. The horror. I mean, it's something like a movie. Out of a movie. Shameful. Shameful. We got to keep his name alive. We got to keep this story alive. We have to keep people talking about this so that his mother, his family, his daughter, the black community can get some answers and hopefully some closure. I love y'all. Thank you again for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you like this commentary. There will be more videos like this. I told y'all that I would be experimenting with faceless videos because My daughter, she just won't let me do nothing. So it's very hard for me to record content. It's been very, very hard since I gave birth. So I'm trying to do what I can to come on back and talk about these things and get this information out there. So I really appreciate your support. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.